All right, guys, it is Rachel Feldman. I am so excited to be breaking down a gut funnel. Please, for any of you who have different niches other than gut, I'm going to, in this free training, show you how so many of our niches pain points really cross over. And you'll hear me talk today, not just about niche, but about the pillars of your business. So please, as I'm going through each of the slides, take some time to get a composition book like this, create my plan for 2020 or whenever you're watching this. It could even be that you're watching this in February. It is so important to know who you are speaking to, your ideal client's pain points, no matter what time of the year. Whether you're a brand new coach and you feel extremely overwhelmed, whether you've been doing this and you're finding that your business is changing, one, because you're changing, but two, also because you notice different people are coming to you for different issues, or that you're seeing that a part of your business that you started wasn't exactly marketable, and so you're looking for these other avenues. I'm going to go through the presentation today, and of course, if you have any questions, please put them in the live Q&A box, and we are just going to get started. Give me 1 second. All right, guys. So we are creating a specific gut niche business. Please, no matter what niche you have, drop it below wherever you're watching this, or even, like I said, in your composition book, put all of the questions and comments that come to your mind, even as we're doing this. So yes, this can be applied to any niche. Just remember that. I think this is where we often get unclear. For many of us, if you're like me and you've had a myriad of health issues, myriad of different diagnoses, you might feel like you're a jack of all trades. And so if that's the case, I want you to be aware of some of the things I talk about today, because from all those experiences, no matter how small or big they are, how whether they affected you physically, emotionally, spiritually, I want you to think not just about your niche, but what are the problems that they are dealing with. And keep in mind that niche is not just, I'm working with people who have gut issues. Your niche, and the reason you want to get specific, is you allow yourself to then talk about these specific topics that apply to this one group of people. So this can be applied, of course, online, offline. It's always the same, meaning you have to know who you're going to work with. Gut's a very big topic. So that's why we're going to see, as we break this down, and I go over some examples, how we could even break it down more to really think about sub-niche, and even furthermore, to even break your business down where it's not just the niche, but it's like the specific parts of that. Like we could be talking about gut right now, but some of you work specifically with SIBO. Some of you work specifically with hormone and the gut connection. So as we're talking about these different areas, think about your own experiences, things you wish to see a difference in the world. And then we're going to write them down as we go through this, because this is a pretty big topic, but it doesn't have to be leading you into a place of overwhelm. And 100% the goal is not to lead you into a place where you're stuck. I hear so many coaches say things like, I just don't know my niche, so I don't know where to start. I don't know what my niche would want. That's where we always have to start. No matter what done-for-you program you have from us, content, webinar, workshops, it will be really crystal clear when you, by the end of this workshop, and if there's anything that you have questions, please ask. So step one, I always say, and please write this down, and you're going to see me do the same. I believe that we all learn via pictures. And so when you're creating this, I want you to have 4 boxes. Because when we take everything that's in our mind, like this whole entire funnel, but we put it in boxes, it will be really clear these core pillars, the cornerstones of your business. So first start here, and then I'm going to instruct you on what to add. So we're talking about gut right now. This was my niche. This was what I built Rachel's Wellness on. And I, like many of you, realized that my clients or even people didn't really understand what gut health is. So if you're a gut coach, or even if you're a detox coach or any specific coach, we can't make this assumption that our clients know either A, where to find a freebie from us, B, the missing pieces of the puzzle that they're looking to us for. We have to break it down in the steps that you feel are appropriate for that person. People need a roadmap. And I know many of us say, well, the places that we get to intuitive eating, or we know how to handle our food allergies. We know how to handle this. The thing is, we only know how to handle it when we have a blueprint, a strategy, a plan. Doesn't mean it's going to be across the board great for everyone, just like there's not one program that is ideal for everyone, because we're all so different. But we still have to give a roadmap, because people are confused, they're overwhelmed, there's a lot of information. So the more that you break down and say, so yes, I'm a jack of all trades in these areas. These were all of the experiences that I have, which is why I also call this the story timeline. Another picture. Where did I start with? What was life like? What happened? What were my little experiences? So when people always say, I don't have a story, I always laugh, because when I get on the phone with many of you, there's such a elaborate story with so many beautiful details and stories and pitfalls and breakthroughs. Even if it wasn't your own health journey, I want you to think about, why did you start coaching? So for me, I was born, I had cradle cap, I had rashes, I had just skin allergy, skin issues. I had food intolerances even as a little kid. I had gut issues as a little kid. I had a lot of times where I had to take Monday off from school because I was just really tired. And when I look back, I can make these connections to adrenal issues, thyroid, hormonal issues, blood sugar imbalances because I had hypoglycemia. Then we get into like the autoimmune zone when I got asthma. I can break down each thing for me physically and emotionally on things that happened in my life. And so when I got to my business, of course, this would be like, well, does she specialize in sugar? Is she working with people with H. pylori? Is she working with people with hormones? The answer for many of you is these were all the blocks of the struggles that I had. How they manifested for me may be different from you, because for some of us, we can have all these, but it never affects us neurologically. And for me, it did. And so that's why my different pieces of what I call my symptom puzzle, for me, really fit into these 4 pillars of my gut business. So when I think about the 4 pillars, and this is why it's so important, all of a sudden, this becomes detox. This is food allergies, gut, and autoimmune. People always say, well, is it that I'm a detox specialist? No, these are the areas I'm going to drill down constantly on, because I do feel that everything, if we talk about this, is just the ultimate health, knowing how to handle food allergies, knowing how to handle an autoimmune, knowing how to walk away from disease and not towards it, the foods that we should have, the rebuilding, the remyelination, the food allergies, the methylation, the mitochondria, the microbiome, hormones, everything, for me, always fell in these different boxes. For me, yeah, detox, if the liver's not happy, the hormones are never going to be happy. So if I'm going to talk about gut, this is going to be hormones right here. I'm not a hormone specialist, but I'm going to talk about these pieces of the puzzle that I wish I would have known. This is where I see most coaches failing. They're not understanding that it's in pointing out these core pieces, the cornerstone of your business. Anything can fall under food allergies. This could be adrenals. This could be mindset. This could be leaky gut. This could be probiotics. This could be aloe vera, collagen, foods. All of these have the different components, the talking points. So step one is really to think, okay, if I'm not getting worried about this pitch and this, how should I say this? And I really want to think about all these people coming to me with a myriad of issues, because people don't just come and say, I've got an autoimmune and this is the one area. Usually there's about 7 things that are going on with a person. And so the reason that I picked these different things is people would come to me with weight. And I hear a lot of coaches saying, I don't want to be a weight loss coach. I'm not going to talk about weight. Weight's a huge issue for people, whether it's food allergies, gut health, autoimmune, blood sugar balancing, hormones. All of these different problems fit within definitely pillars. So for me, is autoimmune, gut, food allergies, and detox. And for me, sitting there and defining the problems, truthfully, this could go on easily to be about 100 different problems, is somebody might know that they have an autoimmune, but what's usually lacking is, how do I get from place, one where I'm struggling and I really don't have my toolkit and I feel like overwhelmed, I feel nervous, I'm having panic attacks and fears that maybe I'm just going to get sicker, or maybe my kids will have this, or all the fears that come with that. If I'm trying to speak to the person, not just the woman, not just the mom, the person who is in that fear of that stage 1, what do I need to say in these mini problem solving, in the awareness, in the education, so that those talks or these pain problems turn into mini solutions. So if I'm talking about my hair falling out and talking about thyroid being amok because the liver gets toxic, that's how I relate that to hormone. Or maybe hair is falling out because there's a lot of pathogens, or there's a lot of viral components, or for me, there was strep, all these different things, EBV. And so I'm going to talk about all these different things, from skin issues to IBS, constipation, for my autoimmune and liver toxicity and pancreas health. I'm going to talk about my blood sugar balancing. I'm going to talk about immune problems and this vicious cycle of, if you don't detoxify and get your body, your lymphatic system healthy, your liver not toxic, not jammed up, all the different things, I'm going to lead them down a path of, this is where I need to start in my business. I needed to start at this food allergy elimination diet. It was not based on testing, because in my experience, I did 6 different tests and they all came out different. So in my experience of going through this process and struggling with these main 4 pillars, these were the things I needed to do. These were the things that I wish were in a book, wish were in a freebie, wish were in a video series, instead of having to read hundreds of books and study and do all those things. So I want you to even think, what are the things you need to educate on that are the mini problem solvers that are different from somebody else? And you might also be saying, just like I did, well, I mean, somebody knows how to balance their hormones or have better sleep or adrenal issues, but the thing is, they don't often, or there's so much information that it's really hard to sift through what is accurate, what is not. So when I was crafting my business, I thought, you know what, all these problems, they're all inclusive. And that's why it feels like we're a jack of all trades. But when you niche down and you say, everything comes back to the gut, everything comes back to detox, or getting off sugar, or rebuilding with the right probiotics, or environmental toxins, or chronic illness, whatever it is that you feel like are those cornerstone pillars, all of these become all-inclusive, meaning it's just these little mini education points that you're bringing somebody to the big picture awareness. So now you're going to create your free offers to match the problems. So for example, I love gut health checklists, like in 10 recipes, or taking like the 5-day gut challenge or the 5-day toxin free challenge and making a video for each day and giving a little mini recipe book. I am a huge person of bundles and giveaways and really what I call high value freebies that solve these mini solutions. You're not giving away the whole shopping center for free. You're like helping somebody to see these parts of, okay, so maybe you haven't really understood leaky gut. Maybe you really need to have this, this checklist of what you need to do each day first to get out the toxins before you can actually rebuild your gut. So for some of you, it might be getting out the toxins and you focus on sugar, or you focus on keto, or you focus on AIP. You just really have to think, what is that beginning education point for my freebies that are leading them into somebody saying, wow, this person has every day drill down these areas, these parts that I didn't even think about. She just was talking the other day, or he was talking the other day about the gut health checklist when they go on traveling. What do they need to have? Wow, she had, this whole video series on probiotics, traveling when you have gut issues, autoimmune and food allergies, how do you navigate that? Or it could be the gut health daily checklist. Guys, it's so easy to take any content and make it so that it's really digestible, but also test it. I don't think that there's one perfect freebie, meaning I don't think that it's just a challenge or a webinar or a workshop or a video series or a giveaway. I think the key to having successful funnels and successful freebies is when you've tested out different freebie formats. I've learned over the many years that I am such a visual learner. So I love little PDF checklists and downloadable cheat sheets that I can put up on the fridge, or I can grab and go, or I can throw into my purse. But I also love video series, and think of the next freebie. You could have a video series on 3 steps to repair your gut. That freebie, that video series could lead to a low-cost offer. That could lead to your one-on-one. It could lead to a membership. It could lead, where you're leading them is just the designated call of action. Meaning in your yearly plan or in your Q1 plan, and we're going to look at this, we're going to say, okay, where are all my freebies leading to? Healthy automation and funnels is when you've strategically mapped out, where am I leading them to and why? Why is leading them to a low cost, $67 do-it-yourself, a home run from this? Because in this free video series, I talked about leaky gut, and then I'm taking them to 30 days to repair your gut, course, or wherever you're leading them. I did a gut health giveaway. These were 3 ebooks that I had. One was on essential oils. At that time, I was building my team for doTERRA. 2 was on a 3-day detox. And the other was going grain-free. At that time, these were really important elements for me on figuring out and discovering. There were a lot of foods that, although they were healthy, although they were in the Donna Gates book that I read when I could barely eat anything, was on mono meals, I still, no matter how much removal of phytic acid, I still didn't work well with grains. And the same thing with beans. And that only came from years of eliminating foods. And so that's why when I always go back to what did I share in my business, it was these mini steps I had to take. My freebies, my social media posts, my everything, my blogs, all related to the same topic per se. It's just they all had different lead magnets or different opportunities or free workshops or free talks or a live or a pre-recorded video on YouTube that was the mini solution. Then at the bottom, hey, if you like this, sign up for a free gut health strategy session or a gut fix or let's get gutsy strategy session. It all led to what I called the same path. It's just where it would change is based on that ideal client, what they were struggling with, what they were going through. And in the beginning of our business, we don't always know this. That's why I love when you have just like a little gut health giveaway. You have different formats of your freebies to test out how does your community process information with you? What actually leads to a conversion? Because we all can do noise. We all can put a Facebook ad, and if it's not converting or paying $6 a conversion, just creates more busy work. But when you really think about your freebies from the lives that you do weekly, and you create a system for a big topic a month, drilling down that topic, these little freebies, how they connect, and how you're showing up to say, hey, I just did this. Hey guys, we just had Thanksgiving. This was my favorite gluten-free recipes because gluten can destroy gut. It's like really bringing people in to your life and then leading them to, hey, if you go to my blog today, I did a video on leaky gut. And there's also a free mini video series below. The more that I had different freebies, which is why I ended up with about 25, because I realized every problem, why not bring them to a mini solution? And the reason I loved videos is people get to know you and they connect. And that's really what social media is about, connection. So if you're not getting conversion on social media, I would 100% go back to, are you being specific enough with the problem? Are you really speaking to your ideal client's pain points? And it's not, have a thin stomach. It's what are their pain points and the struggles when you've got autoimmune, gut, food allergies, hormone imbalances. You're just looking for an answer. Like I said, that was the pillars of my business because I felt everything came back to gut. Gut and sleep are a huge thing. You could do a mini detox. You could do a sleep and stress workshop bundle, like the brand new workshop on detox and sleep. On sleep and gut, really helping people to make those connections, because we usually say, well, I didn't sleep good. It's not just the sleep, it's viral imbalances could make, I'm just sharing how I feel. And this is why it's important to share and put on in your document or your workbook, what do you believe? For me, I believe, and this was experiences, if I wasn't doing nighttime de-stressing strategies like magnesium oil and a cup of dandelion tea or a cup of chamomile, some manuka honey for the myelin sheath, coconut oil, fat to help me calm down, that sleep was going to be really disrupted. Then I bring in a second step. I talked about the oils to go to sleep and your gut health. And that's why I'm such a big advocate of gut support, at night as well. So you have a really good sleep. And also castor oil pack can be great, Epsom salts, all the things that I saw were struggles in my life and these mini solutions that I found. Many solutions I found for my kids, best, sleep tactics for my kids. All of that I shared. Gut and anti-aging, that was a big one because with gut issues, there can be assimilation issues, there can be aging, there can be dry skin especially. So I always related everything. I took every little mini problem topic and related back to, okay, so we've got a detox, then we've got to restore, re-inoculate, get in all the good stuff. And then after we see the baseline, then we can see what is out of balance. You could have a probiotics 101 guide. For me, I would take that and I would make 5 little videos on my favorite probiotics, my favorite food probiotics, drink probiotics, probiotics in a store, ones that are great for travel, ones that are great to just throw in your purse or your briefcase that don't need to be refrigerated. My favorite ones for kids, which I rotate about 3. What I'm trying to show you that the possibilities are really endless. It's not a lack of what you need to talk about. It's actually that we need to get out of overthinking it and write down every problem and look at it every day and find these mini solutions. The mini solutions are your offerings. And people are not going to just land on your site, find you. You start to talk about these specific topics in a clear, cohesive way. Like, if you're struggling with this is the solution that I found for myself, or this is how I helped my child, or I helped my family member, I helped my friend, and lead them down. Probiotics 101 could be, you could break that down really into kids and women's health and women's issues, or, immune ones, mood ones. And then you could even have a little autoimmune recovery guide, which I did this years ago with a paleo one. At that time, that is just what really was working for me. And, but I always, again, combined it to be paleo done different. Because for me, a big thing, which is why I created the detox originally, is I couldn't just do any detox. I loved Kim Schneider. I loved Linda Page. I loved all of these different people that had, detoxes, John Juilliard, but I found so many of the foods I was intolerant to. And so in my experience of navigating food sensitivities and intolerances, I realized nuts and seeds, especially during the time of ulcerative colitis, are just not my friend. And so for me, the reason that people would always come to me consistently, from referrals to just even people tagging online, is I always talked about these missing pieces of the puzzle. This adrenal fatigue connection, the vicious cycle of detox and getting to the point where you're so depleted that you don't know how to rebuild. I just helped people to put these pieces together on my favorite colostrum, my favorite collagen, my favorite aloe vera, my favorite chlorophyll, my favorite strategies for when you did go into a flare. What's the difference between a flare and a Herxheimer reaction, or like a healing process, all of that kind of stuff. Of course, I didn't use the word healing, but just what does that recovery really look like? Not in a world of marketing, not in a world of one size fits all. I was real honest and transparent with people always that your gut journey is going to be very unique. And my job is to teach you how to navigate that gut journey. And so my programs or offerings I had were really just these different committal points for each specific buyer. So remember, your ideal client has a group of pain points like we saw here. This ideal buyer is all of this. When you get specific and you niche down, or you get specific in your targeting, like, okay, well, gut health for a brand new mommy, and I remember teaching this, is going to be completely different, because I'm going to talk about the hormonal imbalances that happen after you birth or during postpartum. It's going to be very different. Doesn't mean I have to have a different program, but it is going to be different for somebody that I'm working with who has gut issues and they are a high-powered CEO. They are always on the go. There's a very high amount of stress. Not to say that the mommy doesn't have stress. She could be dealing with the same things. Maybe her gut isn't getting better because she's got heavy metals and she needs to get testing. Or maybe it's that she has so many pathogens and viruses and leaky gut that good probiotics can't even proliferate because they're getting killed by acid. I could have also another person, and I worked with tons of athletes who more are like in this constant adrenal fatigue stage and there's not a great recovery. They're going to be different messages, and those are going to be different freebies. So you can take one freebie or one freebie and split test that with 3 different messages. You can do it by beginner, next level, advanced. You could also do it by, okay, leaky gut for moms that just have babies, leaky gut for moms who don't want their children to continue onto a path of possible ADHD, ADD, spectrum-related issues, a myriad of things that are happening in this world. We don't make claims. We don't say like, we're going to fix this. We say things like, I'm going to educate you on some of the reasons why we're seeing all of ABC, or we're seeing an increase of, kids with celiac getting diagnosed at a much earlier, or I'm going to educate you on gut and why it's so important to me, because I once had, and I hear this all the time from you guys, I once had, rheumatoid arthritis, or I once had this, or I had mood issues, depression, anxiety flow into my life. And I realized it was through the power of this and this. So it's really breaking your freebies, breaking your offers down and thinking beginner, next level, advanced, but then even more specifically, who is that for? That's when you get specific. Come first with what are the pillars, then get into a more specific strategy, because also this beginner, next level, and advanced helps you to also map out your offerings at different levels of commitment. And I think that's a really important thing, because how many of you know people in your life, they've got a myriad of health issues. I call them stage 3 health issues. So if we're here, if we're at these different stages, I might have somebody, they're not broken yet. Because truth is, we only make change when we're broken. And we all have different levels of breakage. But this person, they might know they've got all these issues, and you're like, oh my God, this person needs to be with me for my 3-month program. This could even be maybe 6. Let's just say 3 for the purpose. So 90 days. Stage 3 needs to be with you 90 days or even longer. I had some clients who stayed with me 2 years, especially ones who came to me with 6 foods they were able to eat, or there was a myriad of health issues, what I call layered health issues. And for those of you who are in the gut, the hormone, autoimmune stuff, you know that once you cross over what I call like stage 1 of health issues, and you start to see these multifaceted layers of viral components, metals, gut, adrenal insufficiency, all that, you become you start to work with people that have these multifaceted issues. And that's one of the reasons that I highly suggest looking at your freebies and saying, okay, so for the person at the beginning, they don't even know these words like leaky gut or SIBO or any of this. They don't even understand that the hormone and the gut is completely related, that your hormones can't be healthy if the gut's not better, that the liver is not jacked up, so it can actually work with the gallbladder to get that bowel flow out, to actually have proper digestion, so you digest the fats and all this, so that you don't get what? A more sluggish liver, more toxins, have environmental allergies, all this. You have to know the pieces of the puzzle. And the thing is that your freebies are the entry points for saying, maybe you didn't know this connection. Or the workshop is, here, we're going to talk about detoxification and immune health. Because it's those workshops, it's those free talks, that's in the jab, see what information really applies to people. And then you start to say, okay, well, it doesn't, in a way, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter for each of you where you bring them. And let me just explain that. Whether you're bringing them because you believe that somebody's got to do ketogenic to reset, or you believe that they have to be on an all raw, or you believe that they have to have kind of a hormone approach to the gut, or you believe that they have to detoxify, or you believe that it's mindset, or you believe it's wherever you're taking them based on the system that you feel is right. And then also really looking at yourself and saying, on what level do I want to teach? We all have in our own lives a basic, intermediate, and advanced. But you have to also think for yourself, for the kind of people you're going to attract based on your experience. What are your levels? And what are you also really comfortable in teaching? So remember, these little mini freebies are these entry points. Like if you're talking about sugar and sugar cravings and, oh my God, blood sugar imbalances, and you're like, hey, these are my favorite gut loving, low sugar, no nonsense, guilt-free recipes. If I opt into that, I hope that you're going to then lead me down like, hey, at the root of all evil, I believe is sugar. And so my approach is restoring gut health by getting us off these endocrine disruptors, by getting off of these, fake sugars or sugars that are hidden everywhere, reinoculation of probiotics in this way, probiotics for each like autoimmune, immune system, probiotics for mood, whatever your belief is, take them down that little path. That conversation, which is why the email marketing that we have in your programs, or if you've bought programs from us at yourhealthcoachbiz.com, you will see that still keeps them on that niche specific focus. You might say, you know what, I have people coming to me for weight, I have people coming to me for sugar, I have people coming to me for all these different things. You can still bring everything back to autoimmune gut detox food allergies. So when you start looking at the problems as just these topics, it's the topics of interest, and you stop saying things like, well, I don't want to be a weight loss coach. That's just a problem. It's the problem for the person. Doesn't mean that you're only talking weight loss. So start looking at it as, what are human problems? And so I started realizing that each of these things, detox and immune, I did one on. I did one always in the winter on immune system. It's such a huge topic. And it is. Everyone gets scared that they're going to get the flu. They get scared that they're going to stay chronically blah during the winter. Gut health for families. That was a huge one and still is. I can't tell you how many people I talk to and they say things like, oh my God, Rachel, do you think that this is the best probiotic? What did you use with the kids? I know that your kids had a lot of pathogens, viruses, leaky gut, dysbiosis. What did you do? And that is often the most common question. Is this magnesium oils good? What did you do? What are your favorite things? People are coming to you as the guide. So if you're not putting out free offers or having your stuff make sense, you're not the guide. You're just putting out a lot of noise. So really look and say, how am I going to structure my workshops, my lives, the things I'm going to talk about for the next 30 days? Where does my freebie go to? Is it going to my one-on-one? Is it going to a do-it-yourself? Is it going to a group? It's all the same for every niche. I also did gut health for autoimmune. That was a big one. Weight loss and sugars were always the big topics because that's the thing that most people just immediately struggle with. I think that there is, of course, other topics when it's the mindset of an autoimmune. A big one that I did with families, because I worked with a lot of kids, and that was like always my big why. What if I could be the coach that can help a mom not have their kids end up with some of the issues that my kids had? What if I can save somebody the pain? Whether it was a mom or a woman like myself with multifaceted stuff, or what if I could help to even help a family de-stress when they do have food allergies and they're trying to navigate how to even go gluten-free? These were things that came up constantly. And I always would take the very things that people would say to me, or a theme in the industry that I didn't agree with. And I would expose it, because I do think that's our job as coaches. It's not to say what everyone else is saying. It's to see what you feel is broken in the system, where most people fall through the cracks. One of the workshops that I did, actually, it was a gut and mood. It was first when all the gut information came out for mood. And I actually did an entire workshop on that. And then um, one of the boards in Florida actually reached out to me and were like, we want you to teach for credits on food and mood. So I took I researched myself. I took all the foods for serotonin, all the foods, that were prebiotics, all the foods for gut health, how to also work as an empowered human in this world, which is not your grandmother's, not your mom's. This is a world where we are bombarded constantly. And that's why, for me, I knew after years of struggle what my system had to be in my method, meaning there's so many toxins, from herbicides to pesticides to EMF waves to breathing pollution. I mean, the list goes on. We are in such a toxic world that I really started seeing all these little symptoms. People come to me. I have eye floaters. I'm having restless leg syndrome. I have a pain in my upper right shoulder. My doctor told me I'm crazy for having my ears ringing. Yeah, I feel like this is constantly twitching. All signs of like nervous system and gut. I started saying, well, I've had all those. So what can I teach to really educate and show somebody these are the steps you have to take for yourself daily, for your family? How do you protect yourself on EM waves, EMF waves, all these things, how-tos. So I did ones on candida, adrenal, gut health, stress and adrenals, stress and gut health, anti-aging. I mean, the list went on. The cool thing is when you define three workshops, you then have the comfort and the confidence because you're clear. Clarity equals confidence, and confidence equals conversion. What doesn't convert is when we're like, oh, well, yeah, you just told me all these issues, and okay, well, we could start here. It's like, we're going to start here because I either struggled with so many issues, or I too get that there's all these health issues. So this is my step-by-step process. So I want you even to think, what is your process? Your pillars match your workshops. Your pillars match the freebies. People get confused on a site when they come and there's 40 different topics. Like, here's a program on sugar and here's this. You can still offer everything. I mean, seriously, you can offer. I had this where I really started going more into that buyer avatar personality, their committal points, what they needed, so that everything on my site just became a machine for what? Either bringing people to a one-on-one, list building, bringing people to a do-it-yourself, to a group. But I had to have that confidence first in knowing what I offered, so that when I did approach chiropractors, health food stores, juice places, spas, any place that I approached, I was like, hey, I've got these 3 signature workshops, because I find that most people in the world, if they did these 3 core principles, we would actually get better. And so I always just expanded on the very things that I felt was a missing piece to the puzzle. So my Work With Me page, I did have a single session at that time. I took a 14-day detox. I had 2, actually. A 14-day detox, and then I had a 14-day paleo. Those were 2 that I could personalize. I also did single sessions where I did pantry cleanouts, where back then I would get revitalized if I was working with a family. It depended. I had different programs based on people's personalities. I do believe everyone needs to detox easily. Per the work of Anne Louise Gittleman, Paul Pitchford, you name it, John Douillard, Linda Page. I think it's a hugely important thing. But some people, I realized, and I did this through my testing of my freebies and my workshops, some people were scared of the word detox, or they were an athlete, or they just felt that they had too much on their plate. I realized that that's just a buyer thing. That's not about whether I should change my entire business. Don't throw out the baby in the bathwater. re-message it. Some of you coaches took the detox that we have as a clean eating program and promoted that. Some people look at that clean eating program, even though it doesn't take out a lot, and they already feel fear. And so I realized that there were a lot of people who didn't understand that word detox. So I had a paleo program. I felt that, great, we're getting out mucus producing foods. I'm going to give what I call the detox principles: Epsom salt bath, castor oil pack, skin brushing. But I had these two very distinct programs for different people's personalities. And also to kind of meet somebody where they were. If they were like, I just am a carb addict, I would say, okay, you know what? We're going to start on this paleo. They were a carb addict for like the white carbs and things that weren't great for them. So I just would base that on like who could start at my step 1, or who could go a little more advanced even with my step 2, meaning single session would be at step 1, but if they felt detox was a little scary, I could keep them in just like saying, oh yeah, we're going to get off sugar. It's a sugar detox. And I don't even get into the word grain free. I don't even get into a paleo. I just say, this is a program that was really great for me, but we are going to omit some of these hard to digest foods. And so I would just personalize that program based on the stuff that this person was telling me. What is their life like? What are their daily habits? How much time do they really have in a day to prep foods, to take care of themselves? Was it great as a detox? Was it great as, this paleo kind of program? What were the concerns about their family? So I would just match a program based on their ideal needs. You could have a 30-day jumpstart. This is why I put this part. There are some of you that believe in detox, and that's like stage 1, and you never go into like an 8-week gut restore program, because you're attracting more people who are like detox as like more of a clean eating, get off the junk processed, and then you're taking them to a gut health program, but it's not so deep in the gut health. It's more like 21-day clean eating, because you find that the people you're attracting may not be at this advanced gut stage. They might just need something to change their habits. And that's why when you look at any program, this really can be re-niched for any program. Even like the clean eating, program for busy people with a workout plan, that can be a starter program. It doesn't have to be detox. It's where you feel is a start, and then where do they graduate? So when you look at a 3-tier work with me, this is a beginning jump. So if it's detox, what is my next step? Is it detox to keto? Is it detox to the 21 new you weight loss, because I'm starting to feed in these other messages about like gut and metabolism, or gut and energy, or gut and hormones? You can take any different program and create the most unbelievable offerings, as long as you know why are they going to that step. For some of you, you're going to have different tracks, different funnels for different buyer personality. For the really busy mom, who most often I never put on a detox, I would get her off the junk and meet her in her busy needs. I would give her strategies for batch cooking Wednesday and Sunday, how to bring in the kids, how to bring in the family. My athletes, I was more on a paleo, and my real, what I called advanced people, who were coming to me with really knowing they had autoimmune. They, of course, had to start at the detox, but I would personalize that, because we clearly wouldn't be adding in foods like gluten to test, cheese, dairy. We would say, okay, here's a detox. We're going to keep it where we're keeping these principles. We're not adding back in those foods, because I don't want to trigger a histamine reaction. Same thing with food allergies. It wasn't uncommon that a person would come to me already have worked with a doctor, working with a doctor, with a gastroenterologist, who we were all co-working together. And I was really helping to strategize while they were doing food allergy testing, while we were working in co-collaboration to strategize how to actually navigate this, which is why I had so many families I worked with where we were just creating plans on how to make sure that their kids who were in elementary school or high school, or they were going off to college, or they were living in another part of the world, could actually implement this. And that's what I really encourage for all of you. We often give program after program. I call it the baby blanket. Most people do feel, and this is why I do believe in programs for conversion, is that's just the baby blanket. You're just giving them a baby blanket with suggested meals and recipes, but to them, you've just given them a roadmap. So just remember, the biggest thing in our coaching is we do need to coach. Program isn't a coaching tool. It's a platform you can stand on to lessen the time and to make it easy for you to systemize your one-on-one, systemize your groups, systemize your year in knowing what you're launching, how much money you're making from your one-on-one groups, downsells, do it yourself. But the faster that you get into, and this is what I mean about multiple funnels. I had one for like the really busy mom. I had one for the autoimmune warrior. I had one for the food allergy mom. I had one for the food allergy for a woman like me, all of these like chronic health issues and autoimmune stuff that's leading to adrenal issues, leading to liver toxicity, leading to many of this because there's been years of gut dysbiosis. And a lot of that is pulling back the layers. There isn't ever, and I say this to you by like hoping that you see this in a different light as you go into 2020. Many of you are just staying stuck in this like, well, this one size fits all. I believe it's this and they have to go here. But you might have somebody who really does need your help, but can never do AIP or never do ketogenic or never can do a Candida program, but they can really have their life significantly changed by getting off bread with yeast, by learning like basic detox principles like skin brushing and tongue scraping, and learning to de-stress in the overwhelm of just having gut issues and feeling scared. Or you might have people, like I said, who do graduate onto this next level. And that next level, an example could be if you had a 14-day program and then you're graduating them to a 3-month intensive. So think of your work with me as an example of like, okay, if I had a starter program in January, like a 2-week gut fix or a 2-week gut reboot, where do they graduate once they've mastered stage 1? It's the same thing in a single session. Once they've mastered stage 1 and they're really happy and they come back to you and they're like, wow, I never thought that single session was going to be so life-changing, but I've changed these 3 things you told me. I gave up yeast in all breads. I'm not eating bread anymore. Thank you for the Foods for Life brown rice tortilla that you suggested, Rachel, because I know this was so hard for you. And oh my God, thank you because of your detox, I was able to take nuts away. And I see that I'm not having like a pain here. I'm not having problems digesting, and thanks for really making some suggestions on what worked for you. Not do this. This is what worked for me. Some metabolic enzymes, or looking at Anne-Louise Gittleman's site and showing here, this is why these bile salts are essential, or these are my favorite enzymes that really work for me. And then you might have somebody who needs to be more at your advanced, but remember, where do they graduate to? And that's why your groups can literally mirror your work with me. Your DIY mirrors your work with me. It mirrors, everything mirrors these core pillars. Doesn't mean that I didn't have an adrenal fatigue program, because so many of my clients struggled with that. And this was a missing piece. And still, even for my Epstein-Barr virus, this is a huge missing piece of the puzzle, that adrenaline factor. So for people like myself who had weak thyroid, inherited a weak thyroid from my mom, No shame or blame. We are here to always say, wow, if this missing piece of the puzzle wasn't there, could I have, could I be in a different situation? Most often the answer is yes, but we have to pull apart these pieces of our story in order to say, wow, just like we talked about that journey, like stage one, oh my God, if my mom would have gotten tested for heavy metals, or tested for her endocrine issues and known about them and not just been put on thyroid medication, which never fully worked, what would life have been? That's where I could say, maybe for me, or maybe for one of you, you're not like detox, but you are looking at the 21-day hormone detox as just a no-brainer. For some of you, in your mind, gut is one of the pillars, but it's not the main. It's hormones. And you're like, you know what? I'm niching down to work with women with fertility, even though like women's health and empowerment. But it's like when you niche down and you say, I'm working specifically with women and their gut and their hormones, I believe that they need to start here in order to be able to have a healthy pregnancy or able to get pregnant. Then all of a sudden that 3 month, could turn into, or even a 6 months, one of our hormone programs, like fertility or postpartum or pregnancy, perimenopause. And I hope you truly get this, it's literally how you envision mapping out your business. And that's why it's like, I almost want you to like unfunnel, unfudge your mind, and think, okay, where does this make sense based on my core beliefs of how do you get from stage 0 to 4 of ultimate health? What are these pieces and these parts of your life that may be in these different, what I call funnels behind the scenes in the back office? It means not everything's on the front of your site, but if you're on a strategy phone call and that person is having gut issues and you know that she, is in the midst of pregnancy, again, that's a little different, as you would say. And I worked with a lot of moms pregnant and breastfeeding and health of their infants because they had autoimmune. Do you see how all these different topics I've talked about are different people and their different needs? Doesn't mean that all I talked about was helping young moms. I had very specific goals in my mind of what I wanted to teach. And the clearer that I got, once you have a clear message, you can really pivot that no matter who you're talking to. As long, of course, that it's within your comfort and it's something that you've done and something that you feel that you're at least 5, 10, even 2 steps ahead of somebody. I know I could talk about this forever. Okay, so I had a DIY shop page. This isn't exactly what I had, but this is what I would do. What I had was a detox, a 30-day program that included 1 session, and I had a 60-day program that included 4 sessions. It's just a different psychological way of not only helping somebody, but in that if you had a 30-day self-paced course, include calls, because that person who might say, I'm not ready to work with you one-on-one, they are ready at a different committal stage, but also a different buyer psychology. That person's like, oh, I'm not ready to work with somebody one-on-one, but they will do a self-paced program and have calls included. It's the same thing as if you did a single session, like 1 month of your self-paced course or a 21-day self-paced course with 2 calls, you could charge $150. You're still getting that accomplished. You're doing 2 30-minute calls. You're making $150. You're still taking the program that you had on your work with me. You're just making it look different. A lot of people where they fail on a do-it-yourself page is, and I've seen this happen many times, they'll sell something that's a dime a dozen. Meaning, I could go at this point and Google anywhere a smoothie guide. If you're going to put a smoothie guide, and you want me to understand that that's an essential step, put some videos in there. Explain to me, okay, step one, if you want to start your gut rebuilding, like here, start with this smoothie guide. Give me a few videos, or make that a bundle, so that when you're strategically mapping out your free offers or your shop page, you make them irresistible. You make it so that person is like, wow, I can literally come to Jane's site and I am getting everything I need here, from, oh my God, a gut health masterclass with a 2-week gut health recovery plan, a detox, and she's got these 7 little mini videos. That builds trust, that leads them to the follow-up where somebody buys that and you can lead them to an upsell. So let's even talk about like the structure of leading people down the path. You have to know that hero journey. You have to know these different steps and the stages. It's the same thing for those of you who are planning out a membership, whether you're using our 4-season detox or using some of our programs that you can feed out into, a quarter for the membership or a 12-month membership content. You have to know, what am I teaching and where am I leading them? If I'm teaching this membership, in the membership, and I want to launch this, like, my membership open doors twice a year. Am I kicking off with a program like this mini gut step, this immune, and then am I leading them to a group? Or am I having one 14-day program that leads them to a 3-month like graduation? Or where is my one-on-one? What are the different tiers? Because it's the same thing. The process that you're taking them should match and mirror a shop. Your freebies should all be matching these problems, taking them into a path. Free offer leads to a one-on-one call. One-on-one call determines the buyer avatar. What are the things this person's constantly saying to you? Are they saying, I know I've got all these food allergies. It's just, I feel like my stomach, I feel like I don't digest anything. And they keep saying, I've got all these weight issues, this unexplained weight gain. I just feel awful. It's like nothing fits and I'm barely eating anything. Something I heard all the time. It's like, okay, based on the things this person told me, what would be ideal? So then, because I had this mapped out and not only in my head, but written down, like, for these different buyers, their personalities, their level of commitment, their trust factor, what could be a great starting place? Hey, so I just heard you say all these things. Yeah, I can totally identify with that. I struggled with 1, 2, 3. I felt really overwhelmed. And this is exactly why I have created these different opportunities, these different levels to work with me, because I found that not everyone needed to get to a place of understanding mono meals or rebuilding the microbiome with different probiotics or rotating. So for the things you just told me are going on, we could start here. And it's being able to really meet that client where they are, instead of going, oh, well, they just need to go to stage 3. They might not be ready to go to stage 3. And that's the part where I really want you to look at your business. You might be promoting stage 3, like the mindset of really changing the gut. But your ideal client is really struggling where they don't even know how to get from 0 to 1. So when you're looking at your freebies and your workshops, think of this as stages. Stages based on the symptoms and the pain points. Group those. One of my clients, who she deals with people with chronic and mystery illness all the time, she was missing a huge opportunity to work with people who didn't even know they had an autoimmune. They just felt off. They just felt sick. They felt tired. Sleep was off, all this stuff. And so we started messaging. Are you dealing with an autoimmune? Have you recently been diagnosed? Or do you just feel off? We had to create like a starting place for them. Then all of a sudden she started getting in, hundreds of people who were at stage 0 to 1, instead of just category 2 or 3, category 3 meaning multiple chronic illnesses and viral and pathogens and parasitic infections and emotional and spiritual. Then there was like group 2. So think about when you're really building this profitable website to group some of these symptoms, because you'll start to see that there's a common group thread of the mom who's struggling with her gut. She hasn't entered the autoimmune. She's not going to be interested in autoimmune because that word hasn't even come into her world. But she needs to know the symptoms of an autoimmune or the symptoms of gut dysbiosis, because she's in that symptom zone. She's not really figuring out yet. She doesn't think she needs a detox. She doesn't think she needs this. She doesn't even know what the problems are. That's why it's really great to get people on a phone call, even in the automation, email one, boom. I know, thanks, for signing up for this. I created this video series because I struggled for years with 1 through 15 symptoms. They robbed me blind. I had energy issues. I spent tons of money on testing, doctors, and many different people led me down a path, but there was always this one size fits all approach, which is the number one reason why I became a coach, to empower and to show people that there's not this one size fits all approach, and to put the power back in your freaking hands so you know how to handle life, how to handle stress, how to handle an autoimmune, how to handle a flare, how to handle food sensitivities and food allergies. And it's leading them down that path of awareness of the problem, education, mini little solution step, your freebies, entry level, which is your single session, like Brendan Burchard teaches. That's the entry level. That's the gateway into your one-on-one. And some people may only ever stay with you for a single session, but that's where their commitment level, and that's also their personality. Some people will have to be with you a long time, but they're too scared to do it. They're not ready to release control yet. And a lot of that control, as we know, is the final destination of stage 3, that compassion, that love, that letting go of guilt, all these things that keep us really sick. And so for many of you, that's like the biohacking part. Like now we've gone through the main emergency issues, and now we're like fine tuning in stage 3. So really knowing where people go and how to always help somebody no matter what stage they're at, and where to meet people where they are, so that you can help. Doesn't mean you're helping everyone, but if you truly believe that at the solution of so many of these issues is gut and detox, all of a sudden you can work with different people or different age groups. You just have to be specific in their problem. Leads to your one-on-one. So remember, that phone call can lead to a one-on-one. It could lead to a single session. It could lead to these different opportunities, because of course you're going to say, I think it would be great if we started this 3-month. That person may not either able to afford you. They might not trust you enough yet, which an amazing strategy is to say, well, why don't we do this 90-minute intensive? This is exactly what you're going to get. And if you're really happy at that, I'm more than happy to apply this to working with me for my month program or for my 3-month. It's a strategy that Brendan Burchard teaches his high performance coaches. It's a strategy that many use. Again, doesn't mean that that person who does the one-on-one, that everything's going to be fixed. That person who does the single session may only want to stay there, or they can only afford that. And then financially, where are they going? What is that next opportunity or customer life cycle? So maybe that person can afford you, so you downsell them to a do-it-yourself. Remember, when we really are smart about our profit-making machine, which is our website and our offerings, you should never not be converting, hands down. And it's not about sales. It really is about your belief in yourself and the clarity in what you offer, and taking out these pieces of your story and putting them into this mini course to ultimate health. So if that person couldn't afford me, of course they went to a do-it-yourself, or they went to a do-it-yourself with a upsell once they got into that course. Hey, you know, for only $97 for my $37, you know, detox that you can get this, you know, a 90-minute session for that. And we can personalize it. We could do this face-to-face. We could do this on Zoom. You've just made 97 plus 37, 134. So you have to think where is important to also have downsells that are actually on the back end, or ones that you're even taking care of without automation by a phone call and offerings. If that person's like, you know what, I never do things great self-paced, I call them the marathon runner, the CrossFitter. They love to do groups. You know these people. I would say the CrossFitter who stays committed because they're in community in a group, that's a great buyer avatar and personality candidate for like a membership, or for a 3-month gut intensive that is starting in February, or a gut intensive that's starting in September, you know, or adrenal health and hormones, whatever it is. You know, they would be a great candidate for a program because they need that accountability and they need that transference that happens in a group. Not everyone is ideal for one-on-one. Not everyone is willing to do that work, because that one-on-one work requires letting go for a lot of people. So remember, not everyone is going to be where you want them to be. It's about us meeting people where they are so that we can actually make change in this, you know, chaotic world. So upsell from a DIY or a group to your one-on-one coaching. One of the best ways to keep people in your customer life cycle, you could do like your beginner, as we talked about, your beginner, kicking off the 3rd or 4th week of January. That's your beginner entrance. Whether it's a group offline, whether you're reaching out, hint, hint, to people who you know would be open to partnerships with you, open to doing a group program at their facility, from spas to chiropractors to doctors' offices to, the list goes on, guys. You can reach out to them and say, you know, I would love to co-collaborate with you. Would you be open? I know that you have a lot of clients that you're sending to me who have these issues. Why don't we do a group program? One of the coaches, Andrea Hopp, did this actually while she was pregnant with twins. She started setting up just these detoxes at the functional medicine practice that she worked at. And that branded her as, wow, this is your connecting dot to hormones and some of the functional medicine approaches that she took with her clients. That was like their beginner step. And then they went into this more advanced step of testing and diving deeper into this hormone imbalance, which for hers, it was gut hormone balance and detoxification, because those toxins had prevented her from getting pregnant. So always think in your business, where are people at beginner? What's the next step? So you could kick off with a 14-day like gut, repair, lead them into an 8-week gut program. Maybe for some of you, it's a program like Mindset Makeover that talks about these different specifics, but doesn't drill down as deep into gut restore. Or maybe you're working with people and you really feel that the foundation of everything with autoimmune or gut is adrenals or like sugar repair. Where you're leading them, you can still talk about gut. You can still, it's the process, whether you niche down or it's this process that you feel, does this person need to go, where do they go when they graduate, that mastery course? This could be extended group coaching. It could be a membership. It could be even an 8-week program that leads at the end to a retreat. How you craft your business is really about not only what financially works for you, having these different opportunities at different buyer avatars so that you're cohesively thinking about each of your processes really with somebody in mind. So think of even your own friends or family members or clients that you may have had, even if you've only like done health histories with 5 people, these different people are really like your avatar personalities. Think about the things that they've said. Think about the issues they're dealing with. Are you building a business, but you're so in like what you offer that you haven't stepped back and said, where are people and what are the problems they struggle with? For some of you, it's a big mindset thing, and you feel that gut is a mindset. Really, the possibilities are endless, guys. So this is what you want to think about when you're building. Always think about, okay, what is this structure? What is the pyramid? Where am I leading them to? So if we start on the free, whether you're doing Facebook ads or not, free, then it's like the tripwires can be your shop page, so to speak, but they can also be an opportunity for those of you who do more advanced tagging strategies, download pages where you do have what we call healthy real estate, where you can upsell and downsell. Awesome. You know what to do already. That healthy real estate on those pages becomes retargeting. It also becomes offers like, hey, thanks so much for downloading, this gut series. Here's a one-time offer to get my more advanced gut masterclasses. Boom, leaky gut, SIBO, detoxification, whatever you feel are these more advanced steps, and that could even be sold like a one-time for, again, 57. That also back offer could also be on your shop if you wanted. The whole idea is you're making things really work for you. And if that person goes for the one-time like gut advanced course, or maybe you have gotten certified by Summer Bach for her gut fermentation, then it's an immediate, here, this person bought this. They know the gut advanced strategies. You could even on one page say like, one-time buy for this gut, advanced strategies. And then if they don't buy it, then you have an automation that goes out to them as an abandoned cart or did not buy. And you can say, hey, I had mentioned the other day that I had this more advanced strategies because when I struggled with, or I'm so inspired because I'm a nurse and I see this, or I'm so inspired because I was, I had to deal with kids of mine that had all these different components. So maybe you're not here. Here is my beginning step. And that's where a funnel really works, because a funnel is just a conversation. For those of you who are getting stuck in the online, this is the number one reason I say go offline. You don't know what to say to people unless you practice it. There's not going to be a perfect moment, not a perfect plan or a blueprint. Just like in the program you're going to give to people, you need to personalize it. The same thing is with you guys on learning how people talk. And also the kind of person you're attracting, because sometimes we portray ourselves a certain way in our business, but people see us as a different way. So unless you're talking to people, unless you're doing free talks, or you're just taking a chance to hit that live button, you're not going to know what people want or not. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Structure things cohesively so they make sense. From that tripwire or that little mini educational or the bundle, where do they graduate to? That's all a funnel is. Step 1, your lead magnets in these different phases. The different phases could theoretically be different funnels. And then, of course, different buyer personalities. Those different funnels could, as we said, be for the beginner, the intermediate, more advanced. Because those of you who work in gut or autoimmune, of course, you might niche down and say, I work with people who had Lyme. Or you might say, I work with moms specifically who got diagnosed with PCOS. Or I work with busy professionals who have been, diagnosed with stage 3 adrenal, or I work with people who have EBV issues. That's when you're niching down. Or when you say I work with moms who just had babies, and have a whole hot mess of, gut issues. it's in that, in the clarity first with what you're offering, and then you're able to really sit with what you have and then message it properly. Um, I do gateway programs for me are just always, as I said, the gateway, similar to the single session. It's like this entry point. Then they graduate to what? That next level of working. Hey, I know we did a single session. Here, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Here's your video. Here's your personalized notes from a session. And if you want to take the next step, I would suggest that we, do 30 days based on our talk, based on everything, that we went through. I really think going through these 4 stages, these 4 weeks in my 30-day would really benefit you. So let me know if you want to take that next step. I also have a gut program starting the 4th week of January. Let me know how I can best serve you in any way. I'm here for you. It's been a pleasure meeting you. All my love, Rachel Feldman. The mega is just turns into either your 30-day or your 3-month. Remember, 333 is a 1K program after 3 months. It's really, I suggest before anybody goes into like this new year, taking this time to really say, have I structured my business cohesively in each of these different parts? And I know it can feel overwhelming, but what's more overwhelming is when we just slap stuff up without really thinking about it, without marinating on the message, who we're attracting, who is this really for, what problems do each of these steps kind of solve. And again, you're not making a claim. You're just like, what? At a detox for 14 days, this is how far we can go. It's just the promise, the realistic promise. And if you don't know that, it's very hard to ever convert. So your mega programs can also be, some of you do 4 seasonal detoxes. That could even be like a detox mastery, a mastermind, different layers of detox, different layers of the next steps after detox, whether it's adrenal, gut, mindset, and it could end with a retreat. The possibilities are endless when you're really clear on like the steps. There are also tons of coaches who do 2-day retreats, 3 days, masterminds for, $97 a month, which is really a group coaching, memberships. Some of you have asked me questions like, should a membership be, what financial price point? You're really about thinking with this financial price point, is this for an entry person to kind of come into my system and then they graduate? The second phase of your membership, so phase 1 could be like $27. They graduate to an opportunity where there's a level 2 of your membership where you kick off with like this mastery program for them to really get in down and dirty because you've taught them the basics and now they're ready to deep dive. You could then, of course, have a third part of your membership where those people go into more group intensive coaching when you really get, this is when you really start to make money, when you realize that you can within your entire business create all these different opportunities for people. That same, oh, we're going to do this group coaching could then upsell or downsell to a more intensive group coaching each week based on the problems. And that's what I mean about funnels. It's the funnel really needs to lead them down the path. Oh my God, this has been a long one. Okay. So here is it's a very simple visual. If you can always create these boxes, like where does this, so if somebody's opting in for this, why am I leaving them here? If you can't answer why, there will always be a lack of conversion. You have to know, why am I doing this? Like if I'm selling oils, I have to know like, why do I love this company? Why do I really suggest that, eucalyptus is amazing for the body? How did it help me? What is the freebie that I'm leading them into so they understand about essential oils and what can it do and how did it help me? What is that video series or that freebie? Or your modality, meaning whatever whether it's CBD oil or essential oils, take me through the process. Nurture me. Go on a second date with me, then a third, then a fourth, then ask me for, hey, you want to be my girlfriend or boyfriend? We go in too fast for, you just opted in, want to be my girlfriend? That's what it's called, like a right hook. You want to nurture people so where they say, I am always going to follow this person. Hands down, this person just has 4 follow-up emails. I'm going to make sure I open everyone because this email is literally saving my life. Okay, so if you don't know what we do, please go over to rachelafeldman.com, listen to the podcast, listen to some coaches who have been in situations like yourself, business coaches that have interviewed. Really, the list is endless, even when you listen to these podcasts, because you'll hear you're not alone. If you're confused, you're not alone. If you feel that you know your niche, but you're not converting, there's a problem with the message, hands down. It's not a problem with you. It's not a lack of education. Too often, wellness coaches, we don't believe in ourselves. And then we go, well, everyone's saying this. Everyone is not you. You have a very specific story. And when you really embrace that and you let go of your own fear and guilt and inadequacies, and you step into that place of power where you're speaking from your throat chakra and not speaking out of fear or timidness, you will attract people because you stand with conviction. And that is the process that you really believe. It doesn't mean it's going to be the end all size fits all. That's where coaches come in. That's where we coach people to be independent, to be their own advocate, to have the tools for traveling, to have the tools for eating out, to have the tools for living life. Because in a world of mass information, our job is to say, no, I get that you work 9 to 5, which really means you don't get home until 7. And all I'm talking about is meal planning, but you're like, I don't even have time. Our job is to teach somebody how to do that. Meal planning is not the problem. It's that somebody has no time. Meal planning is a solution so that somebody doesn't have to eat out, take out, be loaded with sodium, MSGs, endocrine disruptors, all these stuff that happens when we eat out. You can also check out blogs, Rachel A. Feldman. If you are interested on programs, go to yourhealthcoachbiz.com. And just remember, guys, when you are planning things out, make sure you are cohesively doing this so you don't get yourself into trouble when you're doing a lot of work and you feel like it's not converting. Make sure that you plan it out and you ask yourself at every Instagram post, at every social media post, every blog, every live, every workshop, who does this serve? What is the key message? What mini problems am I solving? And make sure to always talk about the problem and then that solution. Somebody's saying, why do you put the 3-month as $297 a month and rather than charging full? Or do you give people both options? That actually was just one of the tiers. I would always say to people, because think about how even when I say, oh yeah, you can work with me for 3 months for $997, or hey, it's $297 a month, or it's $333 a month. I think it's more just about how you're speaking and just how that price makes people feel, because somebody will easily go and get their hair done or go and get waxed, but they'll think that it's a major investment to invest $997 for 3 months. So I like to just break it up into committal steps for people. And so that was where that $297 a month came to. And for some people, I also did realize, and it's not that people are lying, some people really don't have the money. And that's why your do-it-yourselfs can be really great, because some people just either don't have the money or they don't believe that working with you and investing is worth that yet. So, okay. I know this was a long one, guys. There is so much when it comes to building your business. Please don't just focus on like, oh, it's not, the Facebook ad isn't working or this isn't working. Spend more time to sit back, plan, what is December? What is January? What is February? Really plan your business, instead of trying to take on so much. Like, I see coaches that are talking about so many different strategies instead of working on the foundational pillars, matching free opportunities to those foundational pillars, testing with live talks, with workshops, with webinars, with freebies to see what is that marketable message, or really your message in general, to fit different people and really their life. So the more that you also step back and say, wow, I can really spend some time to message properly, I guarantee you, you will always have personal Facebook messages saying, thank you so much for sharing that. I had no idea. I've struggled with this for the longest time. It was like you were in my head. It was like you were telling your story. So remember, guys, it's not that people just land on your site. People land there because what? There's a blog and you've shared that to Pinterest with an image. Or people land because you consistently talk about the problems with these mini solutions. And so people get to know you for these areas. That's why it's really specific, really important to create a business that takes somebody from the infancy to graduation and to know the process that you do it. So you don't feel like you're just a fish in water slapping around and feeling crazy, or a chicken with their head cut off. It's to give you structure and cohesiveness so that you can spend more time list building and more time getting people and understanding what people want and getting people on the phone, so that then you can refine what you have and see where are the missing holes in your funnels, in your freebies, in your offerings, giveaways, challenges, and also what are the best formats that people process information with you. So it's been a pleasure to be with you here, guys. Thank you so much. If you have questions, pop them under wherever you're seeing this, or feel free to reach out to us at yourhealthcoachbiz.com. Pop a message in and we will be there to help you. Guys, it's been a pleasure. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.